The human race often looks for meaning in our lives. We look to ancient history and the stories of wealthy royalty to enlighten us about our origins and perhaps plant the possibility that we could one day accomplish much and gain an abundance of luxury and treasures of our own. So today, here at Unexplained Mysteries, we'll be taking a look at 3 recent discoveries that archaeologists have uncovered. Historian claims Shroud of Turin is actually a tablecloth. The Shroud of Turin is said to have once been wrapped around the body of Jesus Christ after his crucifixion. However, this legend may have been debunked by anthropologist David Atkins. Before we get into Atkins' claims and the supporting evidence he has, let us talk a little bit about the Shroud of Turin and the reputation that surrounds it. Over 700 years ago, the Knights of Templar were fleeing France and brought hordes of treasure with them. Some found refuge in the market town of Burton. Burton had an abundance of alabaster and gypsum to be mined and used to create a multitude of sculptures. In medieval times, there would have been nothing more logical to commemorate the influx of Templar knights than a statue. A skilled local craftsman of Burton Abbey would have been commissioned to carve a full-size likeness of the Fisher King. This work of art was then displayed in the abbey. Many years later, in 1350, Abbot Ibstock took up the project of rebuilding the Burton Abbey church. The prized statues and decor items were carefully wrapped and put into cellars and vaults for safekeeping while construction was happening. One of the statues, of course, being the Fisher King. It's estimated that the sculpture was in storage for around 10 years. When it was unpacked to be placed back in the church, a miraculous discovery was made. The cloth covering the Fisher King statue bore the image of Jesus. Or did it? This is where Atkins comes in. Atkins floats the idea that the Shroud of Turin is actually a tablecloth that, because of a chemical reaction between elements present in the damp dark vaults and cellars and the gypsum in the alabaster statue, an image was transferred to the cloth that was used to keep the Fisher King statue safe. The Fisher King and the portrayal of Jesus Christ have some very similar features, so the identification of the image as Jesus could pass easily. The theory is that the monks of the abbey saw this as a lucrative opportunity, hid or destroyed the sculpture, and sold the cloth as an ancient religious relic. Upon analysis of the cloth, trace amounts of various plants and sea life have been found. It would be very suspicious if these items were present on a shroud covering the crucified body of Jesus, not to mention the monks of the abbey ate a mostly vegetable and fish diet. Carbon dating has placed the origin of the cloth to be between 1260 and 1390. Another factor disproving that the Shroud of Turin was in fact a shroud is the imprint of an oversized right hand covering the groin area. It would have been very close to impossible to position Jesus Christ's body in this way, since his passing was with arms outstretched. This position is consistent with the story of the Fisher King, who had a thigh and groin wound and was waiting for a knight to come and heal him. Ancient cursed tablet shows earliest name of God. While digging was happening at the West Bank, a small tablet containing a very strong message was uncovered. The original discovery took place in 2019, but deciphering the ancient Hebrew proved to be quite a challenge because it was written in a rare and early dialect. The tablet is made of folded lead, mined in Greece, and is compared to the size of a postage stamp or a piece of a jigsaw puzzle. It's estimated to be 3,200 years old, which makes it 100 years older than the most ancient Old Testament artifacts currently collected. It was found in a section that was previously excavated in the 1980s using a method called wet sifting. On the tablet is written, "Cursed, cursed, cursed, cursed by the God," with God spelt as YHW. Pretty hefty words for someone to be carrying around with them. YHW is the 3-letter abbreviation for the Hebrew word for God, Yahweh. Some believe that YHW is a vengeful God who was written about in the Old Testament, a lesser God than the compassionate and loving God of the New Testament. Archaeologists interpret the words to be addressing someone who did not honour an oath or a covenant, which is an agreement that is legally binding. The place the tablet was found has plenty of other historical significance. Mount Ebal is where Joshua, who succeeded Moses in the leadership of the Israelites, built an altar and offered animal sacrifices. Some believe that the stone altar found on the mountain ridge was constructed in the Iron Age, which was several hundred years after the Bronze Age, which is when the tablet is from. The findings will all be published in detail in an archaeological journal later this year. New archaeological discovery in King Khufu's reign. King Khufu, also known as Cheops, ruled Egypt during the 26th century BC. He was the second pharaoh of the 4th dynasty in the first half of the Old Kingdom period. Khufu's legacy is that he ordered the building of the Great Pyramid of Giza, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. Recently, a German-Egyptian archaeological mission found granite stone blocks dating back to the time of Khufu in the Temple of the Sun. The team was excavating on the western side of the Open Museum in the ancient city of Heliopolis, which was a major religious center in Lower Egypt. This is the first time artifacts from King Khufu's era have been discovered in that area known as the Ain Shams region. According to Mustafa Waziri, General of the Supreme Council for Archaeology, who announced the discovery in a press release, the granite may have been moved from a more ancient building during the Ramesside era. The Ramesside era encompasses the 19th and 20th dynasties. It was common during that time to remove building materials from one site and repurpose them for another structure. There is speculation that the stone was once a part of a building that stood at the Pyramid of Giza. The Pyramid of the Sun and the Mataria area is a significant place. Some say the most important place in all of ancient Egypt. There was ample religious and historical value for all the Egyptian kings throughout their reigns. Other interesting and rare discoveries have been made in the same location as the granite stones. Some date as far back as the Naqada III period. The antiquities from this time are mostly pieces of pottery showing what religious rituals were performed there. One finding of interest is a King Pepi piece of granite with an etching of Horus on it. Horus is a deity with many important titles. Most notably for this archaeological mission, he is the god of kingship. Ra, the god of the sun, and Horus, the god of the sky, are sometimes merged together. Several headless sphinx statues arranged uniquely, and a 3-dimensional deer statue were all found at the same site as the granite blocks from King Khufu's time. These statues tell the story of an offering made to the temple gods in this place. Spirituality and faith are deeply personal. We can tell from the most ancient of times, people have held belief in various gods and the power those gods have to bless and curse the inhabitants of the earth. It's extremely interesting to find evidence of past religious rituals and even possible proof that some claims are false, and an item considered holy could be downgraded to an ordinary tablecloth. But what do you make of these discoveries? Be sure to let us know your thoughts in the comment section below and help us by growing this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.